Yo, what is up, guys? We're actually back with a new what if, and this what if is what if ICHIGO got Bankai early. Now, one of you guys are wondering what I mean by Bankai. I mean his fake Bankai, the one that's the one that you see as the PNG on your screen, or it should be there, but it's in the thumbnail. So like the Tensa's on Getsu Bankai. So basically, we actually start this what if right after Rukia gets sent back to Soul Study or like arrested, put in prison, waiting for execution, and basically Ichigo will basically be in that having the test to see if he'll become a Hollow or a Shinigami. Now, now his chain will pretty much be descending, disappearing into his chest until the last link, and then he would pretty much, kind of like go into his inner world. Now he'll see Zangetsu there, and he'll pretty much, Zangetsu would tell him the same thing about, Shikai and stuff like that, and that, his world is disappearing, and he needs to find the sword, his own Shinigami powers. Now, he wouldn't use the soul ticket. He would use something like that, and he would look into his own soul, trying to reach for the blade. And that's where he'd find the soul ribbon, where he'd see the ribbons are actually red. That shows that a Shinigami is red. So other than the blue ones, which were hollows. So Naruto would grab the blade and pretty much grip it out before a huge explosion of Ryatsu would happen. Now, Ichigo would pretty much, come out of the hole. So, he wouldn't have to activate Shikai. He would just already have Shikai. So, he'd have his, the butcher knife of Shikai. And, the Jinta, the kid, would be like, what is that? That blade doesn't even have a handle on it. But Jinta in his head knows that sword is very strong. He can sense the aura coming from it. But right now he's just talking shit, bro, Jinta has no opinion. He's a Matsu. Nah, just kidding though. But basically, Kisuke would kind of do his shofo laugh over it, saying, Kurosaki-kun, you have achieved, you got your Shinigami powers. That's cool. That's good. Now I'm gonna fight you. If you're not strong enough, well, I guess you're just dead. After this, he'd go. He would do Okoro Benihime. I think it means awake Benihime. So after this, he would awaken Benihime and go into Shikai mode for pretty much sending using Cry Benihime, sending his own version of the Getsuga at Ichigo. Now Ichigo would pretty much just deflect it, send it to the right, just using his instincts. It just felt like he should just move it to the right. Now Ichigo's blade would pretty much release his own blue Ryatsu, and it would move Kisuke's attack to the right. Now Ichigo and Kisuke will have a pretty even fight, and pretty much this would happen for the next 7 days. They have 10 days to train. So after these 7 days of training, Ichigo's potential would skyrocket. Ichigo has been 3 times stronger than when he got his Shikai originally. He's even learned techniques like Getsuga Tensho. After a few days, where old man Zangetsu would teach Ichigo what Getsuga Tensho is, and pretty much Ichigo would learn the Getsuga Tensho. Now, Ichigo in this timeline will also have this similar battle with Zangetsu, the white one, where he basically see if old man Zangetsu see if he's worthy of wielding Zangetsu. So Ichigo would still pretty much beat the white Zangetsu, and he would be worthy to keep Zangetsu. Now after this would happen, pretty much Ichigo would be kind of resting from his week training, drinking a water bottle and the fake training ground that Kisei has. And Kisuke would walk down, and he'd be thinking in his head that Ichigo is gonna be fighting Captain Class Shinigami, and maybe just in case if things don't go to plan, he'll be fighting Aizen. So maybe he should prepare Ichigo just in case. So basically, he'd summon a doll. He'd go back upstairs and get a doll before he'd come downstairs and basically say, "Hey Ichigo, you want more power, right?" After this, Ichigo would basically, yeah, I need all the power I can to save Rukia. Now after this, Kisuke would tell him that he's gonna learn something called Bankai. It's a second stage of release. When you go Shikai, when a Shinigami goes Shikai, it's 5 times the power. But when the Shinigami goes Bankai, only a handful of Shinigamis actually learned Bankai. But when they went Bankai, their power was, folded by 10. After this, Ichigo would have like a little shock moment before he would, be excited to actually do this. So Ichigo would immediately stab Zangetsu through the doll after hearing all the risk and stuff like that. He would still stab it since, bro, this guy has no chill, bro. He just wants to save Rukia. So after he would stab Zangetsu into the doll, his old man Zangetsu would come out and basically say, "Are you sure you want to do this, Ichigo?" After this, Ichigo would pretty much say that he's gonna do this. He wants to save Rukia. That's his resolve. Now, Ichigo would have learned the same lesson from Kisuke about resolve and how fear is not, shouldn't be in the battle. So, he would be ready to fight Zangetsu. So over the next 3 days, Ichigo would be clashing nonstop with Zangetsu or old man Zangetsu. And, they would just keep fighting and fighting for the next 3 days until Ichigo would, realize the test of Zangetsu and all the swords. He'd realize that all the swords have Zangetsu in them. He just has to feel like he's using Zangetsu. So he would pass the test, and, Zangetsu before leaving would tap Ichigo on the chest before Ichigo would get like a rush of knowledge. Now this knowledge would be Bankai. He would get the ability to go Bankai. And pretty much for the next day, the rest of the day, Ichigo and Kisuke would be sparring, getting ready to, with Ichigo using his Bankai, training his Bankai. So Ichigo, would have realized this stuff about he has to relieve the pressure put on him when he uses Bankai, because all that spiritual pressure is put into his whole body and into the sword. So he has to release it by using Getsuga Tenshos. But the thing is, something weird happened. Every time he uses Getsuga Tensho, the blade releases a red lunar fang, unusually to the blue one. And he looks at the chain and realizes, why is this even there? Until he'd be practicing and realize he can actually grab the chain by the finger and pretty much I don't know what's the word, but he can spin it around and use it to his advantage. Now, pretty much after this would happen, Ichigo would go to that festival the next day and have pretty fun time. You go into a festival, it's definitely a fun time. So he would have the fun and meet up with his friends, and they'd be chilling. So around 1 a.m., Ichigo would be chilling in his bedroom when a projectile would land onto his wall, where Kisuke could say, meet us at my shop in 10 minutes. And by the way, if you think this message is from one of those messages in the murder mysteries, you have no taste in comedy or something like that. After this, Ichigo would be like, "Oh, shut up," and then he would throw his pillow at the message. After this, he'd pretty much put on his clothes and head out, where Ichigo would pretty much almost get drop kicked by Ishin, and he'd be like, "What are you doing, old man?" After this, Ishin would be like, he would hand over the good luck, he would hand it over Ichigo like a cross, kind of it's actually the Quincy cross, but it's kind of like a good luck charm. I know Ishin gave Ichigo a different good luck charm, but this time I want to have it something different. So Ichigo would receive his mother's Quincy cross. Now, pretty much, Ishin would tell him that this belonged to his mother before, and she wanted him to have it. So afterwards, Ichigo would put it on and pretty much feel a rush of power, but it wouldn't be noticeable. It would just be spiritually. After this, he'd wave goodbye to his dad before heading towards the Urahara Shoten. Now, pretty much after this would happen, Ichigo would arrive at the Urahara shop, and Kisuke would sense Ichigo's difference in power. It's and then he would look towards the cross and realize it's the Quincy cross, and he would realize Ishin told him something about this, but he would put on his more his funny version himself, the cheerful version. He would put on his fan, pretty much, Kurosaki-san, you're here. he would then pretty much say, get ready. Ichigo pretty much having, trains for so long, he would easily see Kisuke, basically, blitz him, and Kisuke would pretty much, kind of like stab the back of, not stab, but hit the back of his cane on Ichigo's forehead, and Ichigo would be in a Shinigami form. Now, everyone be ready, and Yoruichi, Uryu, Orihime, Chad, and Ichigo are ready to go. Now, Ichigo would say, they head out. Everyone would head out. They would say bye to Kisuke, and Kisuke would open the Senkai mode, and they would head into Senkai mode. Now, Ichigo and everyone be in the Senkai mode when pretty much they'd be running through. Now, he would look towards Yoruichi and say, flash step. Like, he would ask him a question, flash step? Are we gonna flash step? After this, Yoruichi would say, only if the cleaner is here. After this, they'd be run for, a few minutes before they'd see the cleaner, and Yoruichi would say, it's time. So Ichigo would would put Yoruichi on his shoulder, and would grab, Orihime and Chad, and tell Uryu to use his, Quincy flash step. So pretty much, Ichigo would flash step all the way to the other side, and pretty much be in Soul Society, while Uryu would use the same, and pretty much, Yoruichi would be on Ichigo's shoulders, so she would, be fine. So after this, Orihime would make the similar shield so they can land on, and that would be pretty much it. Now, after this event, all the Shinigami would be there, or not the Shinigami, but Ichigo and his friends would be there, and they would head towards the gate. Now, out of the 4 gates, they would actually be at the one where they'd meet Jabando. Now, they'd be at the gate. Jabando would kind of crash down and basically say, who are you? And pretty much, Ichigo would start to fight with Jabando. Now, Yoruichi would do her dialogue where she introduces Jabando, basically being one of the guards of the 4 gates to the Serite. Now, pretty much, Jabando would try to use his most powerful attack, but Ichigo would raise his hand and pretty much just stop it with a finger. Now, after this, Ichigo would say weak, before he would pretty much cut open Jabando. He would slash down, and a cut would appear on Jabando's chest. Now, after this, everyone, or not everyone, but, Ichigo and his friends would be, would pretty much try to go behind, try to run up the walls to go, jump over the walls of the Serite, but, or, would try to do that. That's their plan. But Jabando out of nowhere would pretty much accept defeat after Orihime would fix his hammer, I think it was, and fix his wounds before he would open the wall himself. And pretty much once it opened, they'd see Gin Ichimaru, or this weird guy with silver hair and his eyes are closed. Now Gin would pretty much say, are you letting intruders in now, Jabando? After this, Jabando would pretty much say, that it's his rule. It's a rule. If you lose, you have to let the person in. But Gin would say, if you lose, then you die. After this, he'd pretty much use, shoot to kill, or I think it's spear him. At the time, he said spear him Shinso. After this, his blade would elongate and pretty much stab Jabando. Basically, Jabando would barely be open, keeping the gate open. Now, after this would happen, Ichigo would get mad, and pretty much, an aura would, envelop him. His blue Ryatsu would envelop him, and due to him having the Quincy Cross, it would strengthen him a little more, but Ichigo would raise his blade before pretty much using the full powered Getsuga. Now, Gin would see this, and he would have to use Bakudo 81 Danku before, Yoruichi would tell, Ichigo they need to head out now. Now, pretty much Ichigo and his friends would have to retreat, and they would head towards the Rokangai district. I think it was 70, somewhere around there, and they would, meet up with that old man, and they would stay the night before they would meet, Ganju, and Ichigo would have a similar fight with him, but this time he would just quickly put down, Ganju. He would easily beat him in that fist fight, and after that, that would be the end of it. Ichigo would have won that fist fight, and they would be, looking for a place to chill. Now, the next day, Yoruichi would tell them about one of her friends, or one of the friends that that she knows, but they don't know she's a girl. So basically, they would head towards Kakaku's residence. Now they'd be at like Kukaku's place, and pretty much they would be, chilling after the two guards, came in and basically say, "Who are you?" And then they recognized Yoruichi, so they let her in. So Kukaku would pretty much, be there and pretty much question them what they need, or and pretty much Yoruichi would tell Kisuke, or no, not Yoruichi. Yoruichi would tell Kukaku that Kisuke, needs to save someone from Soul Society, by the name of Rukia Kuchiki. Now Kukaku would recognize his name, and pretty much, to say, she would agree since it is Kisuke. She has to agree. They were childhood friends. So basically, after this, Ichigo and his friends would wait for like the next week, where Ichigo would train how to contain his reishi into that ball. Now Ichigo would have way less troubles with this due to him training with Kisuke for that 10 days, and him attaining Bankai. For him to attain Bankai, he has to have at least some Ryatsu control. So he learned how to condense his reishi into the ball pretty easily due to his massive basically I'm trying to say like he learned to do it even though he has massive pools of Ryatsu. So yeah, he would have learned that tip from Ganju about how to use his Ryatsu, and pretty much he would have learned the tip, like a more advanced tip, from Old Man Zangetsu, since Old Man Zangetsu is pretty good at using reishi and controlling it, so he gave Ichigo a tip. Now Ichigo would have learned the technique, and Ichigo's friends would have learned it pretty well, just like their similar canon counterpart. So after this, basically Ichigo and his friends would be ready to be shot into Soul Society, and that's exactly what happened. They would have their dinner, or they would sleep, they would wake up, and they would get ready to be shot out. Now Kukaku would tell them good luck, and Ganju would go along with them, just like in canon. Now Kukaku would shoot them out using her Shiba clan, cannon technique, and they would be sent through the sky. Now, they would still have the same problem with Ichigo's Ryatsu being too high for them, and you would have to lower it constantly. But the thing is, they would still manage to pass the Serate's, walls. They would be in the Serate. Now, Ichigo and Ganju would be together, and they'd be fighting Ikaku. Like, Ichigo would be fighting Ikaku, and Ganju would try to be running away from I forgot his name, but he's Ikaku's friend. He's the 5th C, and he's always talking about beauty. So if you guys actually know his name, bro, if you know his name, what am I saying? If you know his name, can you guys please put it in the comments, because I'm kind of dumb. So basically after this, Ichigo and Ikaku's fight would happen. Ichigo this timeline being more experienced with swordsmanship, or Zanjutsu, would go to slash at Ikaku. Now Ikaku and Ichigo would do their introduction, Ikaku doing like his weird dance, and pretty much that would be the end of it. Or not the end of their introduction. So Ichigo saying, his name's Ichigo, and Ikaku would say, oh, people the name of Ichi that start with Ichi are pretty strong and confident, and they would start their fight. Ichigo would go to do a sword slash at Ikaku. Ikaku would pretty much like unsheath his blade or his sword or Zanbakuto and go to counteract, which they would have a clash, and then there'd be like a wind breeze passing their face, similar to how people clash in like anime fights in general. After this, Ikaku would say, I like that strength. It's almost as strong as Taicho, Kenpachi Taicho, or Captain Kenpachi. Basically, or Captain Zaraki, that's what I meant to say. Zaraki Taiko, that's just like the Japanese term for captain. So after this, Ichigo would be like, I don't know who that is, but I know I'm gonna beat you right now. So basically, Ichigo would go back and kind of like go into his Shikai form. Not that he's always in Shikai, but he's like outputting the Ryatsu of Shikai. So he'd have those blue eyes, when he gets serious and stuff like that. And he'd go to slash at Ikaku. Now Ikaku, knowing he's gonna lose, would use his Shikai release, and that'd be he would get ready to fight. Now pretty much Ikaku would kind of clash with Ichigo and use the trick where he has the middle part of blocking and the left and right part will go to stab him, but Ichigo kind of like move his face backwards, and he would kind of like flash step back to his original position. Now Ichigo, knowing he has to use this technique, would then use a raise his blade with all the Ryatsu he can output into his blade, giving all the Ryatsu to Zangetsu, so Zangetsu can give him a good Getsuga Tensho in return. or can release one. So he would give all the Ryatsu he can and pretty much release a Getsuga Tensho. After this, Ikkaku would, pretty much go Bankai for a second. He would go Bankai so he can pretty much have lesser damage to attack. So he'd go Bankai for a second and then get hit by attack and, kind of get like severely injured. But, after that, his sword would be kind of like reversed back to Shikai state. And, Ichigo would, use the ointment from Hozuki Maru, and basically, they would close up their wounds and they would have their similar conversation with Ikkaku would telling him that, where Rukia is being held. I actually don't know what it's called, but it's kind of like the prison where people start to ask for forgiveness, but not, just like preparing themselves to die pretty much. So after this, Ichigo would be on his way, and Ganju would have a similar outcome to the person he was fighting. I actually don't know his name, but it's the 5th C of the 11th squad. So Ichigo would be running around, trying to get back to the base where, he'll be running around and he'll see none other than Renji Abarai. After he got past a few Shinigami, and he met none other than Hanataro. Hanataro and Ganju would, be running around until, he met Renji. So, Renji and Ichigo were about to clash, and pretty much right when they're about to clash, this will be the end of this episode. Now, I know it's kind of short, but I'm just wanted to do a what if, and I want to see if you guys liked it. So, yeah. If you guys don't like it, then I just won't continue the series. If you guys like it, definitely get the series to like 5 likes. That's all I ask for. If you guys like my videos in general, please, if you want, obviously, subscribe. Get the notification bell, since if you really like my content, you would want to know when I actually upload, and definitely smash that like button, because YouTube likes, the algorithm likes when you like the video. So without further ado, guys, have a good day.